Last week we looked at when a training request is probably a little bit more than a training request, and this week I want to just look at 5 questions of several that I would ask my customers, in the hope that from this video you take away that you can actually answer these questions yourselves inside your organization. So question 1, what are we trying to achieve? And many organizations come to me for training and they will just say, we have to learn S1000D, we have to learn S2000M, we want to understand 3000L. Recent one is, can you explain to us 4000P and how 4000P is due to work? And they're easy things for me to be able to explain with standard training, etc. But it helps if you actually understand what you're trying to achieve. Are we trying to improve data quality? Are we trying to have better processes inside our organizations of domain talking to domain and connected decision making? Are we trying to actually operationalize data to improve product availability? Are we trying to get insights to product performance through data? So one of the first questions will always be, what do you think you're trying to achieve? Question 2, what do we have now, today, or what are we inheriting? And this is depending on who I'm training and where they are in the supply chain, or indeed who I'm supporting in coming up with a data strategy. Let me give you a real example. I did some training, it's going back a few years ago now, but I did some training for a client where they thought they had the S1000D source data, the data modules, the illustrations, etc. And that was a bad assumption on their part, because what they actually had was a published output. What they didn't have was all of the source data modules, all of the source comments, all of the through life update records, all of those kind of things they didn't have. But because they didn't understand what they had, they'd assumed that the viewer that they had been given at the time was the source data. And it wasn't. It was actually encrypted. They couldn't reverse engineer it. So we have to understand, what do we have, or what is it we are inheriting? And that can be simple things like starting with legacy data. How are we going to migrate legacy data over to what we want? Are we going to, like I've done with the S1000D bike data, can we reverse engineer that into other domains, 2000M, into MTAs, and looking at how all of that data flows? Some organizations need to do that. So, and what is it we are inheriting? I've already used that IETP example there, where the client thought they were getting source data from their supply chain. I won't say how they ended up with that, but it wasn't what they want. Question 3 is always a really interesting one, and I know some of you out there will be having this challenge, because it's always a challenge for most projects that I support. Who owns it, and the IP restrictions that may be around that data? What are our rights? And this can be simple things like doing data conversion, or wanting to maintain and update the data that you have been sent. One of the things that I have been spending the last 2 or 3 years learning myself is, how do we create robust data contracts in the age of emerging popular S-series type specifications, but also in the world of AI and data analytics. Recently, I had to send my terms and conditions to a client that I'm supporting on a consultancy, and that consultancy is there's going to be lots of outputs from TDW, and in my data contract it states that they will not load, share, train, tune an AI LLM with my data. And the client came back to me and said, this is the first time we've seen such a clause in a contract. They agreed to it, clearly. So we need to understand who owns the data, because the client's getting access to lots of my data, but it's my ownership, but they're getting access to it for use. And what are the IP restrictions around that? And that can happen as well with legacy data and reverse engineering legacy data. There'll be restrictions around that. I've got a excellent story on a data conversion program that I helped, where we didn't know who the original or the originator of the technical publications was, because they'd long gone out of business, been acquired, etc. And we assumed we could just convert this data, and it turned out that assumption was wrong. So we need to understand those restrictions or possible restrictions and how to work with those restrictions around us. Question 4, how does this fit into our wider or longer term vision or strategies? Many projects today that I'm supporting either will want to start with one specification, and then over time they might want to either introduce other standards and specifications. The market I'm going to be doing at TDW Live this year, I'm going to do a market intelligence presentation. And the market today is that, S1000D, whether we like it or not, is one of the most popular adopted specifications out there. However, organizations now are looking to how do we start introducing these other S-series specifications into our organization. And when we're adopting these specifications, we need to understand how does this fit into our data strategy, our data vision, what we're trying to achieve, question 1. And does it support? And so the reality is that we can often think that just adopting a specification is a magic bullet. It's going to fix all of our problems for us, or magically it's going to give us a strategy. And over the coming weeks, we're going to look at why, through TDW Insights, why that's a bad assumption. So we need to think about how the use of specifications and the use of data actually fits into our wider and longer term visions and strategies, what we're trying to achieve. Question 5 is, what does good look like and how do we measure it? This is a question that several years ago I had a meeting with a very senior military official, and the meeting was, we had 10 minutes. He wanted to understand why everybody was banging on about using these particular specifications that he was being told they should be used on the procurements that he was overseeing. And I had 10 minutes. He walked in and he said, "Nice to meet you, sit down, just tell me what good looks like." And I had 10 minutes to do an elevator pitch on why this guy should be saying to his organization, this is why we're going to do good data. This is why we're going to do modern data procurement. This is why we're going to do modern deployments. And that was 10 minutes I had to try and elevator pitch to him. So you have to have a good idea what good looks like in your organization and how do you measure that. And again, I would work through some of these with the clients. Now, these are just some questions I would work through with clients. You might have noticed something here. None of these 5 questions were about XML. None were about data modules. None were about business rules. None were about software, and we're going to do quite a bit about software over the coming weeks here on the YouTube channel. That's because those things matter, but they come afterwards. They're the tools, they're the methods that we use. The questions that we ask during our training, consulting, and initial engagement, the questions define the direction. And in my experience, organizations that answer or can answer these questions early tend to make better engineering data decisions. Specifications remain incredibly important. Training remains incredibly important. Technology remains incredibly important. But none of them replace understanding why you're doing this in the first place. Because engineering data isn't the objective, operational capability is. That's the distinction I want TDW Insights to keep exploring. If you've been involved in a project where these questions either were or weren't asked, I'd genuinely love to hear from you and your experiences. Put them down in the comments. If you're enjoying these discussions around engineering data, operational capability, and integrated product support, please subscribe and join us for the future. I'm Mike Ingledew. This has been a TDW Insights. I'm all about how we make data work. Until the next one, just very quickly, I have now reignited the TDW Instagram account, so you can find us on Instagram. I'll try and put a link down below. And what you'll do is, so LinkedIn, if you're following me on LinkedIn, occasionally I put a thought piece up on LinkedIn. The majority of the content that I'm doing at the moment is coming onto YouTube, but I'm going to try and do a daily item for Instagram that says maybe a question that's come in or something I've achieved through the day or something I've built through the day that is a bit more personal, quick 90 seconds video that tells you what I've been up to. Anyway, those are just 5 of the questions that I would ask. Again, I've probably got about another 20-25 questions that I'll ask on top of that, but hopefully you can answer those questions in your organization.